This is Max Preps Friday Night Live.
Another Friday, another half hour prepping you for the weekend ahead. Thanks for joining us here on Friday Night Live. I am Steve Montoya. It's the 1st September in Friday, and joining me here in studio is Chris Stonebreaker. What a time of the year.
Hey, this is when all of the talking stops and the playing begins. Almost every single team in America will be taking the field this Friday night or this weekend, and I'm excited to be here yet again in another year talking with you about it all.
Yeah, and Chris, before we look ahead, let's look back a little bit, starting with our national top 25 rankings.
And as you see right here, we have the Max Preps Excellent 25 rankings presented by the Army National Guard. And newcomers to the Excellent 25 are number 22, Colquitt County of Georgia, number 24, Bingham of Utah, and number 25, Long Beach Poly of Southern California.
All right, for a breakdown of why those three teams entered the top 25 rankings, we're going to bring in our national football editor, Steve Spiewak. Steve is the man who decides who's in and out of our top 25 riders poll. And Steve, we got three new teams coming in this week, starting with the team in Georgia. Tell us why all three enter the rankings this week.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. Colquitt County in Georgia debuts for the season. You know, in the large classification in Georgia, we hear a lot about Gwinnett County teams, Atlanta area teams. Well, this is a Southern Georgia team that appears to be the best large school in the state. They beat Mill Creek 35-14. They beat Hoover last week 35-14, and that was after a season opening victory over Mill Creek. Junior QB Chase Parrish has thrown for 483 yards in 2 games. This looks like the Class 6A state title favorite right now in Georgia, and they certainly deserve a spot after the triumphant victory over Hoover, which redeemed them for the loss they suffered at the hands of the Bucks last year. Obviously, Colquitt County head coach Rush Probst formerly was the Hoover head coach, and he was at the helm during their MTV Two-A-Days dynasty. Another team you mentioned, Bingham from the state of Utah. We knew they would be the #1 team in the state of Utah entering the year, and they have certainly justified that preseason prognostication. They are 2-0. Quarterback Kyle Gehrig is leading the offense, doing a great job. 6'3" sophomore defensive lineman Langi Tuifua already has 3 sacks in 2 games, but as is often the case with Utah high school football, to really get a gauge on how good their top teams are, they need an out-of-state measuring stick. A few years ago, Bingham took on Euless Trinity in Texas. This year and this weekend, Bingham is taking on Bishop Gorman from Las Vegas in a game that will be very, very interesting for Utah high school football fans. And finally, Long Beach Poly. The Jackrabbits from Southern California are back in the rankings. They exploded in their season opening victory for 54 points over Crenshaw. They won 54-14 in week 2 this weekend. They have Narbonne. Josh Love threw for 222 yards in their opener. Iman Marshall obviously locking down wide receivers at the cornerback position. And guys, tonight, Long Beach Poly debuts brand new uniforms, courtesy of probably their most famous alum, Snoop Dogg. They are all black. The kids are excited about it. Talked to head coach Antonio Pierce. He let me know that they are breaking out the uniforms tonight. So those should be interesting to check out once we get some photos of them on Max Preps.
Spiewak name dropping there.
Wow,
I like it.
and alternate jerseys, man. High school's turning into a college game nowadays. Great though. If I was a kid nowadays, I'd love to have some new jerseys. So that's
Look
awesome.
good, play good.
Exactly. I never did either. Anyways, thanks you, Steve. And every Monday right here on Max Preps, we release the Max Preps Excellent 25, which a lot of thought goes into it by Max Preps' national football editor, Steven Spiewak. And then if you come back on Tuesday, we release our composite rankings, which takes into effect 4 national polls. And then we also release our computer rankings, which is 100% objective.
All right, Chris, as we continue to look back, we got to look at some top plays. And this week, we're expanding from 5 to 10, so let's roll our top 10 plays of the week. All right, we're going to start this off in Iowa. Quarterback Brandon Childs is about to connect with receiver Connor Ham for the go-ahead 2-point conversion and the win for Salon. The reason this play is so special, it ended Regina's 56-game win streak. At the time was tied for the nation's longest win streak. A special play ending a great win streak, but you got to give it up for Brandon Childs and receiver Connor Ham and the coach for calling the gutsy 2-point play.
Celebrations are always the best as well there. Now here we got Bakersfield Christian's running back Matt Smith as he shows Templeton defenders what time in the weight room does for you. Check it out as he goes 78 yards for the score after telling a defender to get off of him and another to please move aside. We show it again from the beginning. The burst of speed to get through the middle, and then he takes right here a little Heisman pose, a little stiff arm to the defenders, puts him on the ground, and instead of unleashing the trailer, he just says, you know what, I'm going to use my power to bulldoze my way through the defenders on my way to 6. Matt Smith, Bakersfield Christian.
All right, we're going to head to the state of Florida. Newberry's Jason Franklin takes the handoff, and he is down. No, he's not. He keeps his balance, uses his speed right here. The DB almost has him, but Franklin says, nope, not so fast. I'm taking this one back to the house. We're going to watch this one more time. As you can see, the defenders kind of think he's down, come up and hit. Nope, he's not down. He is still on his feet. Newberry's Jason Franklin once again using that speed, and gotta love the crowd right here. They're very happy to see their guy in the end zone.
Don't stop till you hear that whistle.
That's right.
Now this play, the 4-star wide receiver proves why he is one of the nation's top 50 players in the class of 2014. DeMarcus Lodge of the nation's #1 team, Cedar Hill, goes up and picks this ball off the defender's head, adds a little juggling act, and gets confirmation of the TD.
Texas A&M commit. Okay, last week we saw North Gwinnett in Georgia use the fake spike for the TD. This is the double reverse flea flicker from John Urzua to Kenneth Hancock, who almost gets into the end zone. Last week we saw Urzua do that fake, put up a tremendous game with so many plays left and right. This week the coach calls another trick play, and again, Chris, the defense not completely fooled. Got to give it up for Urzua making that beautiful pass, and Hancock with a nice catch down to the 2-yard line.
Seems like the teams in his area know that they're going to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
So Sean Morris of Cardinal Mooney in Florida does not need 2 hands to catch the ball and take in for 6. Proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is in this video. Hashtag
like it.
MP top play. One-handed catch right here. Doesn't even need the second one to haul it in. Just takes it all in with the left.
All right, we're going to head now to Oswego High School. Last play of the game in Illinois. They score, they win. They don't, they lose. And it all comes down to QB Stephen Frank, who moves around the pocket, finally finds some space, lofts it up to Joe Hennessy, who pulls it in for the score. The Panthers stunned defending state champion Batavia 40-38. Sounds like a tremendous game. 40-38. Gotta love Stephen Frank moving around that pocket, and then his man Joe Hennessy just making the catch for the game-winning touchdown. Chris, that's play number 3. Play number 4. Play number 3 better be good.
It is a good one, and it's always a good one when you have a game winner. After allowing the go-ahead touchdown with 27 seconds remaining, the Steers drove the ball 70 yards for the game-winning touchdown to defeat Kerrville Tivy 58-56. The final play came in the form of a 40-yard Hail Mary from Tobin Tannehill to Hunter Hill. Side note to this play, Tobin is the Dolphins starting quarterback Ryan Tannehill's little brother, and Tivy is Johnny Manziel's alma mater, and of course there has to be a little bit of controversy at the end of a game. Some say the ball hit the ground, 32 gets up with it. Did it hit the ground, did it not? We'll never know. It's called a touchdown, and the game is over.
That's right. All right, play number 2, Loyal Sock High School, love the name. Kyle Datris, their quarterback, decides, you know what, I'm going up and over the defender for the score. Call the track coach. This man needs to be doing the hurdles. Maybe he already is, because as you can see in this play right here, look how high he gets. I mean, that defender was going up pretty high to make that tackle. This one deserves running it back a third time, so we can see the QB just going over the defender. This is an incredible play, and only play number 2 this week.
Number 2, RG3 would be happy with that. This one I call I'll take that. And that's what Webb City wide receiver Keontae Harden says as he takes the ball from a Rockhurst defender Friday night for the TD. And the number 1 overall play in this week's Plays of the Week. Defender has it, hands it off, and Keontae goes into the end zone. And that is a great play right there. And if you want to see more of those great plays, go and follow us on Twitter at Max Preps, or even at Max Preps Video, as we make posts all the time. Even subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see all those type of plays before Friday comes along.
Yeah, some amazing plays.
Amazing plays, and we get a ton of them each week. So if you're breaking them down to a top 10 like that, is very, very tough to do.
All right, it's time now to get to maybe one of the craziest endings we will see all year long. Let's try to break it down for you. You will see coming up here in the white, St. Stephen's. They are ahead by 1. You can see Bunker Hill's coach on the bottom of the screen telling his defense to get off the field. There's 31 seconds left to go in the game. So St. Stephen's QB, Travis Connor, decides, I'm going to take the snap. I'll run it down the field. And you can see his coach running along with him. He's yelling for him to stop at the 1-yard line so the game can run out. But that's not what happens. You will see Bunker Hill, a defender, coming in to get the QB, and finally the quarterback gets into the end zone. So they are now up 7. Crazy, Chris. This is just, we'll get to it more. You can see the ref here throwing up the touchdown. They're going to go for the PAT, and they get it. So now Bunker Hill is down 8. Then this happens. A long pass. It ends up being a touchdown. You can see the crowd going crazy. The press box is a little bit in the way. Now they're going to go for 2 and the tie. And no, they didn't get it. But just crazy stuff happening in that game. We're going to bring in our football editor, Steve Spiewak, to break it down a little bit better, maybe paint a better picture, because you talked to both coaches. Steve, what did they have to say about this crazy game?
This was really a bizarre finish, guys. Frankly, I've never heard of anything like it on the high school level. I talked to the Bunker Hill head coach, Travis Connor, and what he told me is, look, I wanted to give our guys a chance. Believe it or not, this exact sequence took place the day before when these two teams met for a JV contest. So Travis Connor called his guys off the field hoping that St. Stephen's would score and they would get another shot. He said, you got to give them a chance. And obviously, as we saw, Bunker Hill did get another chance and came so close to tying the game. St. Stephen's head coach Wayne Hicks told me, I almost got outcoached. Said he's never seen anything like it in his 28 years of coaching, allowing the team to march down the field like that. Some wild video, a crazy ending, and you know it's football season when you're seeing crazy videos like this on a Friday night. But certainly something that neither coach had ever been a part of, and kind of joked about it afterwards, saying that Bunker Hill coach almost pulled a fast one on me.
And Chris, we've been talking about this all morning and all day, trying to figure it out. And I know you always kind of brought up the point, why don't they just take a knee? But it's high school. It's not that easy. I
know it's high school. I understand it. But it doesn't matter if it's a first down and 10 or if you're going to knee it anyways. So why even care about the defense? That's my point. It's like, if I'm going to knee it, I'm going to knee it if there's a defense there or not. If I need a first down to make sure that I get 4 more plays to take off the time, why not I just go get the first down and knee it? I just don't understand how it even got to the point of running up and trying to tackle a guy into the end zone to get another chance to score.
Well, the coach must have known. We would have shown it all, and it's a lot more fun that way.
Yes,
and I think the coach was saying, take a knee at the 1.
Yeah.
It didn't work out so well, but Hey,
Yep.
St. Stephen still pulled out the win.
Hey, and keep watching it. If you guys don't understand it either, I mean,
Yeah.
we will be having it up online right after the show, and just continue to watch it because it's mind-boggling. And just that they even came back to score at the end of the game
Yeah.
to give themselves a chance for 2 was even more remarkable. So anyways, that's a bizarre play. And
Yes.
one thing that you won't be seeing probably in either one of those guys' locker rooms is the coach going off on those
hope
players
not.
for the effort. No, because they put in that effort.
Yeah.
But that leads us into
I get it.
it's a segue into our new segment that we like to call Went Off. How do you like that? And of course, we're going to be starting it off with the player, and it's only fitting to start it off with him because he goes off week in and week out. We are talking about the new career California State passing yards record holder, Jake Browning, whom in week 1 started off where he left off last season with 520 yards and 7 touchdown passes.
When we say someone went off, we mean it here with San Marcos QB David Hamilton, the junior. Again, a quarterback, rushed for 387 yards and 6 touchdowns on 19 carries. That's over 20 yards per carry. David Hamilton went off.
New meaning to the read option right there.
Yeah.
Buena Park's Jalen Hawkins would not be mentioned right now if we did not, of course, see that he went off. Let's just say Poff on our new high school fantasy football show said he got his Megatron on, baby, with 8 grabs for 294 yards, touching pay dirt 4 times.
All right, Carlson's Marvin Franklin got the rock 28 times. Feed him, coach. Just feed him. He took advantage of that as he accounted for 368 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. 1 run went for 93 yards. Marvin Franklin, Chris, went off.
Trent Gilbert went off as well, Steve, for Higley High in Arizona, as last week against Yuma, he had 6 receptions for 226 yards and 4 TDs. 2 of his plays that we will see in this highlight actually showed that not only can he break tackles, but also has the speed to outrun the defense and our hashtag MP top plays.
Guys went off.
Yeah, and if you have a player that went off, we want to know about him. Message us on any of your social media platforms at Max Preps, and also make sure that your coach has his stats in Max Preps, because if he doesn't have his stats in, we don't know about him and we can't highlight him on the show.
So true. Okay, it's finally time to look ahead, and we're all looking ahead towards our fantasy teams. And to put that into a high school perspective, we're going to kick it over to Zach Puff in our Max Preps locker room.
Hey, well, thanks, guys. And speaking of guys who went off, how about Marshawn Lynch last night to set the tone for the new start of the NFL season? Went beast mode, and all the fantasy owners that had Marshawn Lynch were very happy. Now, in this week's Way Back When, we're going to stick with the NFL, and we're going to take a look at 2 guys from Florida who balled out during their high school career who were both first-round NFL draft selections. Let's start things off and kick it off way back when with Mr. Sammy Watkins. The former South Fort Myers star was one of the best high school wide receivers to ever come out of Florida. He owns the record for most receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns in Lee County history. And the former Clemson All-American is one of the best wideouts in the country during his 3-year college career. He left Clemson as the all-time leader in reception, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, and his 15 100-yard receiving games were also tops in the school's 118-year football history. The 3-time first-team All-American was selected 4th overall by the Buffalo Bills in the 2014 NFL Draft, and expect the 6'1", 205-pound rookie receiver to battle it out for Offensive Rookie of the Year honors this season. But a guy he'll be battling out with was selected 24 picks later at number 28 by the Carolina Panthers. 24 picks later at number 28 by the Carolina Panthers. And with the departure of Cam Newton's top 3 wide receivers from last season's roster, expect Kelvin Benjamin to ball out in his rookie campaign. The former Glade Central High School star stayed in Florida to play college ball, playing 2 years at Florida State after redshirting his freshman campaign. We all remember the big-time grab he had in the 2014 BCS National Championship game, hauling in the game-winning TD from Jameis Winston with 13 seconds left on the clock. And expect the 6'5", 240-pound receiver to be one of Cam Newton's favorite targets this year.
Man, Kelvin Benjamin, that dude is going to be a straight animal this year. Of course, he's probably going to be the top target for Cam Newton. And sticking with fantasy, guys, you guys rolling with any rookies this year?
No, I don't have any fantasy rookies on my team. I'll bring in Chris. We were just watching that footage there of Benjamin. That is one big dude, and that was in high school.
He was huge. That was the first time I'd seen that footage, and that kid was gigantic. I do have a rookie. I have Tennessee's Bishop Sankey, and I also do actually have Kelvin Benjamin on my team. So hopefully, they're right now on my bench, but if they start proving themselves, then they might make the starting lineup.
All right, Chris, from an NFL guy, for any college fans out there, we have a couple guys maybe they should get to know.
Yeah, and these two student athletes will be making an impact at the next step. Brian Cole is a 6'2", 190-pound cornerback / athlete from Heritage High School in Saginaw, Michigan. This last July, Cole committed to Michigan and became a Wolverine in a LeBron James-like message. The 4-star recruit is the #1 ranked player in the state and 43rd overall by 24/7 Sports. At Heritage, he has played tailback, receiver, quarterback, safety, and cornerback. He ran for 1,213 yards on 138 carries and 16 TDs last season, while being on for 45 tackles and intercepting 5 passes before breaking a small bone in his leg in the last game of the season. Heritage's 24-6 season opening win against Saginaw Arthur Hill saw Cole score touchdowns on a 59-yard botched punt, a 31-yard interception return, and a 35-yard touchdown catch. He finished with 90 yards rushing on 11 carries, 3 catches for 71 yards, and recovered a fumble on defense. Staying with the quarterback theme, and Eric Lee Jr. is a good one. Matter of fact, he is ranked as the #1 recruit in all of Colorado. Eric is a 6', 175-pound Nebraska commit, playing his high school ball at Valor Christian, whom he had 45 tackles, a sack, and 2 interceptions to help Valor Christian win the Class 5A state title last season with a 13-1 overall record. CHSAA, or CHSAA, named Eric to the 5A first-team All-State team. Lee looks to lead the Eagles to back-to-back titles in the state's largest class this fall as they look to move to 3-0 on the season when they go against East High of Salt Lake City, Utah this week.
And continuing with the next step thing, let's get to know QB Josh Rosen and get to the game, presented by American Family Insurance.
Get to the game, presented by American Family Insurance. The top-ranked quarterback in his class, St. John Bosco's Josh Rosen, is pursuing his dreams on and off the field.
He's competitive in everything that he does, and I think that's why he's as successful as he is.
Josh is a work hard, play hard kind of kid. He's goofy and likes to have fun, but he's also really focused on things that he wants to do.
When he gets on the field, he wants to be the best quarterback, not only in the team, but also in the state and the country. And that's something that he tries to strive for each and every week.
I protect my dreams by prioritizing my life in a way that is bound for success.
Josh attributes much of his success to the support and guidance of his family.
I have a fantastic relationship with my family. They're as supportive as they possibly can be, and I just love how my parents are just in the stands cheering for me, rooting me on.
I've tried to help reinforce what the coaches want him to do as far as being a role model. He's got to be a decent person, act in an ethical way, and do the right thing.
I'm so proud of Josh because he's an independent, self-motivated young man, and he's going to do great with whatever he does in life because of that.
Yes, I'm proud of the athletics and his academics, but I'm most proud of what he's become as a person.
Although the NFL beckons, Josh's dream today is to make the most of his time as a student athlete at UCLA.
I think it's important for Josh to have big dreams to keep him motivated.
My ultimate dream would be having a diploma to to show off to my friends and family, maybe get a master's degree, try to graduate a little early, and from there we'll reassess the situation.
You always want to keep dreaming ahead and thinking of what the next step is, and I think he's learned that that's a good thing to always think about.
To watch more inspiring stories about these incredible athletes and their dreams, visit amfam.com/gettothegame.
And Josh Rosen seems like a great kid playing on a great team in St. John Bosco, who plays Norwalk on Friday night.
And St. John Bosco is going to have a lot of big games this year, especially down there as they go for another state championship. I want to bring back in Steven Spiewak now because we have two gigantic games across the nation. First one that we're probably going to be hitting on is Bellevue versus Serra, Bellevue of Washington and Serra of Southern California. And I also want to talk about a game that last year at this exact time, it was the #1 team in America versus the #2 team in America. Of course, we're talking about Miami Central versus Booker T. Washington out of Florida.
Sure, starting with Bellevue versus Serra, Chris, this is a really interesting game on a number of levels. Bellevue enters with a 54-game win streak on the line. During that time, they went out of state, knocked off Texas Power, Euless Trinity. Since then, they've just been beaten up on local Washington foes. They lost their big playmaker from last year, Buda Baker, number 32, who's now starring in the Pac-12, but they do have some impressive players back. They're led on the offensive line by senior Henry Roberts, committed to the University of Washington. Their junior class, people have been talking about for a long time. Isaac Garcia, Isaiah Gilchrist, one of the top-ranked juniors in the country according to 24/7 Sports. This is a team that just wins. Butch Goncharoff's wing T offense is so methodical that they are very difficult to stop. However, Scott Altenberg's Serra squad, I think, will be up to the challenge. They are traditionally one of the top teams in the country. This year is no different. They got a number of key transfers. They have a loaded roster. You see here, John Houston, one of their top linebackers. Blake Walls, another outstanding linebacker. Stanley Norman, playing both cornerback and wide receiver. Malik Roberson is back after missing his entire season last year due to injury. It's a really interesting study in contrast. I think Serra has a lot more talent than what Bellevue is accustomed to seeing in the state of Washington. And I think that Bellevue runs a wing T offense that Serra probably doesn't see too often playing in Southern California. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out, the talent and the coaching of Serra or the methodical wing T offense and the well-disciplined defense of Bellevue. Now, Miami Central, Booker T. Washington. Chris, like you mentioned last year, this was almost the Super Bowl of high school football. It was #1 versus #2. This year, it's #4 versus #9. So there are still national title hopes on the line when the Tornadoes and the Rockets do battle at Traz Powell Stadium, 7:30 Eastern tonight. But guys, what I love most about this game, despite how big it is nationally and how many people are interested across the country, this really is a neighborhood throwdown between kids that are very familiar with one another, live blocks apart. The coaching staffs know one another. There are guys that have changed teams, have transferred between the two schools. So both of these programs are super familiar with one another. Both of these programs have excelled in out-of-state competition so far this season. They're both undefeated. But this is the battle for the city of Miami. Don't let all the national talk fool you. This is a local rivalry game and one of my favorites to keep an eye on anywhere at any point in the season. Booker T versus Miami Central. You got to watch it.
Hey, love the local battles. All right, Steve, while we still have you here, before we let you go, let's talk about some trends heading into the weekend. And one is a very familiar name in Georgia.
You must be referring to Elijah Holyfield of Woodward Academy in Georgia, the son of former heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield. He had a huge game last weekend. He scored on the opening play, returning the kickoff, 84 yards for a touchdown, and then had 6 additional rushing touchdowns. He had 6 rushing touchdowns on 147 yards, so he was very efficient when he got the football, guys. He was finding the end zone. He almost has as many rushing touchdowns this season as he did last year as a sophomore already. At this pace, he's going to have a huge junior season, and you will see him already emerging. You're already seeing it. He's going to be a big-time national recruit. Look for ACC and SEC powers to jump in on him early.
And look for photos of him on our site tonight. And before we let you go, Steve, a trend we're all seeing now is a lot more transfers happening in football. Can you break that down a little bit?
That's right, Steve. We saw this past week Keyshawn Johnson Jr. transferring from Mission Viejo to Santa Margarita. Just a very, very tricky subject because of the nature of it. It's a personal decision, and it's difficult for states to regulate. So it's a very, very interesting trend that we're seeing. Cordell Brodus, probably the biggest or one of the biggest names that transferred in the offseason. He was playing Diamond Bar in Southern California, and he is now playing for Tony Sanchez at Bishop Gorman, where he's already added some big plays to the team's offense. Another big name that we've seen transfer. This actually happened last weekend on Saturday. Mitch Stevens broke the news. Khalil McKenzie had transferred from De La Salle to Clayton Valley Charter, but he was ruled ineligible for the 2014 season. Like I said, these issues are tricky when you get into transferring. It can be very difficult for states and sections to monitor, but apparently this time he was ruled ineligible. So Khalil McKenzie, unless there's some injunction or appeal filed, will not be playing football in 2014. He's currently committed to attend the University of Tennessee. And maybe transfer has made the biggest impact so far this season is Jordan Scarlett, a running back from Broward County. He played last year at University under head coach Roger Harriet. He left in the winter to attend St. Thomas Aquinas, where he scored 3 touchdowns for the Raiders opening match against American Heritage. Guys, he's going to have a huge junior season for a team that has national title hopes.
All right, that's Steve Spiewak breaking it all down for us. Stay with him throughout the football season and tonight on Max Preps. And if you're heading out to a game tonight, Chris, what should they do?
Quick Score, that game. It's Max Preps' scoring network. It's mobile scoring network, and all we do is try to provide live score updates for every team in America. So if you're going, go to quickscore.com, sign up to the game, and become a part of our mobile scoring network to provide those live scoring updates for all those unable to attend the game. That's quickscore.com.
All right, for Zach Poff, Chris Stonebreaker, Steve Spiewak, and all of us at Max Preps, I'm Steve Montoya, and this is Friday Night Live.
This is Max Preps Friday Night Live.